is my fourth part in the series on 2D motion, and here we're adding the resultant of more than two vectors. So we're given things like this, we're adding this to this to this. Now if we were going to follow that along, how does that become this? Well, graphically, we do our first thing we see, we do that first thing up here, we go up, and then we go down, and then we go over to the right, and then what were the results is going to be nothing more than from start to where we get to the end. And so that's how we come up with that from these three things right here. Okay, here's an example. A bat flew 35 meters south, then returned west, and then flew 12 meters. Then she turned west and flew 12 meters, then turned south and went another 10 meters. So let's see what happens. The bat went 35 meters, turned west, flew 12, then turned south again, and went 10 meters. It's always good to draw a picture to kind of realize what's going on here. Well, from here, what I see is I have two. You're going to add your x components and your y components. There's only one x component. So looking at this, my only x component is 12 meters. But I have two y components. So I'm going to add these two y components the way that they're added as vectors. They're both going south. So they're both going south. We're going to add those two together, the 35 and the 10. 35 meters south plus the 10 meters south. If one was going in the reverse direction, we would have to call up positive and down negative. But since they're both going the same direction, we can go ahead and avoid all that and just say south at the very end. And so 35 plus 10 is 45 meters south. X was 12 meters west. And now we can go ahead and we can draw the triangle. Just going to go ahead and do my x-axis first. 12 meters west. I'm going to follow that up with 45 meters south, and I'm going to draw in my overall resultant. So see how I broke this down? What my resultant is really this right here. This line right here is nothing more than that line I just drew a second ago. But in order to do the math, we had to turn it into a right triangle. And so now here's a 45, which is nothing more than the addition of these two, and the 12 right here. And now it's just like a problem like in the last lesson. So to solve this, to complete this, this is your opposite, this is your adjacent. To find C, we're going to go ahead and we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem, which is square root of a squared plus b squared. A ends up being 12. Actually, a would be 45, but it doesn't matter mathematically. Plus the 45 squared. We want all that underneath the parentheses. So when we do the math, 12 squared plus 45 squared equals 2169. Take the square root of that answer, and you get 46.57. And the unit was meters. She was going so many meters, or the bat was going so many meters. It was a she. And now we want to go ahead and we want to find the angle. Inverse tangent, angle equals inverse tangent. And the reason why I picked inverse tangent is because we have our opposite and adjacent, and that is tangent. To break away the tangent, I have to take the inverse tangent. So once again, from last lesson, and here our opposite was 45, our adjacent was 12. And when you solve that, inverse tangent, when my calculator, it's second tangent will get you the inverse tangent of 45 divided by 12. Get your answer, and I have 75.06 degrees, so I'll just keep that at 75 degrees. And our final answer, remember you need a magnitude, which is a 46.57. Then you need the angle, 75 degrees, and then we need to describe that angle. And this one is going south of west. You can always do the final check and draw that out and see if it ends up being the same thing, but I'm pretty sure I'm correct. 46.57, I'm not correct yet, meters, this should be meters, 75 degrees south to west, and that's your final answer. Another complementary answer, just in case you went ahead and put these together and you went ahead and drew, if you went ahead and did this first and then the second, that actually would get you a right answer as well, but what it would look like is you'd have 46.57 meters, but you would have 90 minus 75 is 15 degrees, and you would have west of south. So if you have 75 degrees west to south, it's wrong. But if you had 15 degrees, which is a complement to make 90, and then you had the reverse directions, you were just describing it not from this side, but you were describing it from this side.